Hey everyone, we've had several people reaching out asking how the coronavirus has affected our travels. Thank you, by the way. So we wanted to share an update on how that has affected our travels. So we've been on the road since January. We've been to 3 different countries: New Zealand, Fiji, and now Australia. So here's a breakdown.
Alright, we've landed in Australia, and this is the first place we've been that has confirmed cases of coronavirus. So up until this point, we've been hearing about it and talking about it, but we haven't really experienced it firsthand yet.
And we're seeing people on the streets wearing masks, things selling out at the grocery store like toilet paper and hand sanitizer, but it really hasn't affected our daily lives yet. So we've been in Australia for a week now and not too much has changed, but we did see in the news that the US banned all travel from Europe into the States.
Yeah, and at this point we're not too worried about that because we're not in Europe and we don't plan on going there till the end of the year. However, this did make us start to think about what travel bans might be put in place in other countries and how that might affect our future travels. Okay, so this is the first time that the coronavirus has directly impacted our travel plans. We plan to go to the Philippines after Australia in just 2 weeks, but there has been a domestic travel ban in place put in the Philippines, so things have to change.
In theory, we could still go to the Philippines because international flights are still allowed. However, we would be stuck in Manila because domestic travel has been banned. And so we are considering different options, maybe rerouting our flight to Indonesia and then hitting up the Philippines later. But we're still fighting hard to make this travel year work. And plus, there's not many travel bans out there yet,
Still
so
hopeful.
it's still possible. We arrived in Cairns to see the Great Barrier Reef, which was awesome. But at this point, there are no confirmed cases of the virus here, but everybody's still in panic. So we have a flight booked in 4 days from now to Sydney, but nowhere after that. We've canceled our flight from Sydney to the Philippines.
Yeah, and Indonesia is off the table at this point. With the travel bans increasing, it's not necessarily a country we want to be stuck in. So we're thinking of different options. One option is to stay in Australia and wait it out for a while. We thought of delivering for Uber Eats. We could hang out, rent a place, make some money, and then hopefully pick up our travels afterward. However, the issue we ran into is the visa. So you cannot apply for a working visa. We're on a tourist visa right now. You cannot apply for a working visa in Australia while you're in the country itself. So that threw that plan out the window. So then we thought of New Zealand. We could either go back to New Zealand and then apply for the Australia visa, or just stay in New Zealand for a little while and work there. They actually allow you to apply for the working visa while on a tourist visa in their country. So that sounded pretty good to us, but at the time, New Zealand put a 14-day self-quarantine notice for any travelers traveling into the country, and we started to get a little bit worried about getting stuck in between. What if we couldn't get back to Australia? What if our visas didn't go through fast enough or didn't get processed and accepted at all? So things were just looking a little complicated, and the last thing we wanted was to be stuck in between and have nowhere to go. So we have to reconsider again. Okay, so we decided what to do. We are going to go back to Melbourne for a while. We have booked an Airbnb for 2 months, and we are going to teach English online, self-isolate, lay low, hopefully make some money, and then be able to continue our travels in the near future.
We booked our flight from Cairns to Melbourne, and we have a 1-day gap from when we arrive in Melbourne and when our Airbnb starts. So we will stay in a hostel on the night of the 19th in Melbourne. We woke up in our hostel to the news that the United States put a level 4 travel advisory out there, restricting all U.S. citizens from traveling internationally, as well as calling all U.S. citizens who are abroad to come back home immediately or be prepared to stay abroad indefinitely.
Yeah, and we're prepared to stay abroad for the entire year, so that wouldn't be too much of a problem for us. However, with the increasing travel bans growing throughout the world, it doesn't look promising that we're going to be able to pick up our travels anytime in the near future. So if we're just going to be staying here in Melbourne, self-isolating, and not getting to explore the city anyway, it doesn't seem to make much sense to us to stay here. Plus, financially, it doesn't make much sense because we'll be paying for an Airbnb, we'll be paying for all this food out, when we could just go back home and wait it out there.
For the last 3 weeks since we've been in Australia, the virus has spread quite rapidly. Since we started our travels back in January, I've screenshotted this spread across the globe once a week, but here's the last 3 weeks.
Okay, so with all of that in mind, we have actually booked flights back to the States and have decided to officially put our world travels on pause for the time being. We're super bummed, and obviously it was a tough decision because so much planning preparation has gone into it, but seems like the best move for right now.
We are hopeful to continue our travels in the near future, but in the meantime, we will be chilling in the States. So everybody out there, please be safe. Follow the guidelines that the local authorities put out there, and hopefully things will lighten up pretty soon. So we have a couple of videos that we have yet to post from Australia, so be on the lookout for those. But until then, Drifted is to be continued.